All right, today we're going to continue comparing ratio tables. So I'm going to just walk you through the first two examples. That way, if we're confused and not sure what to do, this can kind of help get us started. So we have two different ratio tables. So when we're comparing ratio tables, there always has to be more than one. That's how we can compare them. So Tenley's making chicken pot pie for Cicely. Chicken pot pie looks like this. It's like a little pie that has like vegetables and chicken and whatnot in it. She has two possible recipes with salt and vegetables. Cicely does not like a lot of salt, so she wants to know which recipe Tenley should use that would have like less salt, right? Because if she does not like a lot of salt, that's like our key phrase right here for how we would know which one we'd want. Okay, so we are looking for a number that is the same in the same exact column. For example, I need to find a number that's the same in the salt column in order to compare. Okay, well, I've got 3, 6, 9, 12. Over here, I have 2, 4, 6, 15. So I notice both of them have a 6. And I'm going to highlight the whole thing going across. That way, it's easy to see what numbers we're comparing. Okay, so in this table, they're using the same exact amount of salt. So if we want to taste it to taste less like salt, we are going to want more vegetables mixed in with that same amount of salt, because then it would taste less like salt. If we wanted it to taste more like salt, we would look for where there's less vegetables mixed in, because then it would be like more salt compared to how many vegetables they're using. Okay, so if they're both using 6 tablespoons of salt, we want more vegetables. That way it does not taste like a lot of salt. And the one that has more vegetables would be recipe 2. So Tenley should use recipe 2. Because for 6 tablespoons of salt, and I know the problem doesn't say tablespoons, so it could be 6 cups, whatever, but we're going to say tablespoons. You could even say like 6 parts, since we don't know what that unit is. Recipe 2, because for 6 tablespoons of salt, it uses more vegetables. Shorten it to veggies. Than recipe 1. One way to make this explanation just even a little bit better is to use those actual numbers. So recipe 2, because it uses 15 cups of vegetables or tablespoons of vegetables, 15 parts of vegetables, and recipe 1 only uses 14. So to make an explanation better, you would just add in like those numbers into your explanation as well. Okay, so we're looking for a number that is the same in both of the same columns. For example, I could not look for a number that's the same in the salt over here and then the vegetables over here, because that's not comparing the same thing, if that makes sense. All right, let's do the next one together as well. A Ford Bronco gets 36 miles for every 4 gallons of gas. A Lexus gets 28 miles for every 3 gallons of gas. Who gets more miles for a 16-gallon tank? So we're talking about gas tanks in cars. We've got our Ford Bronco and our Lexus. The Bronco is going to need its own ratio table, and so is the Lexus. We have, let me get my highlighter, 36 miles for every 4 gallons. And then the Lexus gets 28 miles for every 3 gallons. So highlighters can be super helpful when we're doing ratio table problems, especially when there's a lot of important information in here. Our labels are going to be miles and gallons. The Bronco gets 36 miles every 4 gallons. The Lexus gets 28 miles every 3 gallons. We want to know who gets more for 16 gallons. So we're trying to get the gallons to equal 16. So we need this number down here to be 16. We can go straight from 4 to 16, but if you're not sure how, you could go from, from 4 count by 8, 12, then 16. So you can always build your table. I'm going to go straight there because I think it's easier. And I say 4 times what is 16? Well, 4 times 4 is 16. So I have to do that same multiplying to the other number in my ratio. And it's 36. And you can use a calculator. So we'll take in our calculator 36 times 4. And we'll get 144. So the Bronco would go 144 miles for 16 gallons of gas. Okay. The Lexus is going to get 28 miles for 3 gallons. And we can't go straight from 3 to 16. So what I would do is I would get 3 down to 1. And it's going to be a decimal, but that's okay because we have a calculator to help us. And then go from 1 to 16. You can always get any number down to 1. It's just sometimes it might be a decimal, but that's okay. So to go from 3 to 1, we're getting smaller. So we're dividing, we're not multiplying, and we'd be dividing by whatever number it is, because whatever number you have divided by the same thing, that's how you would get it to 1. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. So then in our calculator, we can take 28 divided by 3. And then we're just going to round that to 9.3 because those 3's will go on forever. So just if for this situation on this homework today, if there's like a really long decimal, just give me 1 decimal place. Then we go from 1 to 16 times 16 times 16. In our calculator, we take 9.3 times 16, and we get 148.8. So for 16 gallons of gas, the Bronco goes 144 miles. The Lexus goes 148.8. So who gets more miles for a 16-gallon tank? A Lexus gets, sorry, my pen keeps glitching out, gets 148.8 miles. The Bronco gets 144. The Lexus gets more miles. For 16 gallons. Okay. And that's how you compare ratio tables. So we've got to find a number that's the same in the same column. So here we're looking at gallons, and we had to get it to 16 because the problem told us to. We had to both get it to 16 gallons. That way we can compare how many miles they both get.